Over the past few weeks, protesters calling themselves Occupy Wall Street have staged rallies in the nation's financial capital, railing against the excesses of the nation's financial sector. And what began in New York is now spreading across the nation, with similar protests taking place in cities like Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Boston, and Tampa. Despite the growing reach of this left-wing agitation, the liberal media has wasted no time in making these unwashed college students out to be victims. And, of course, members of the Tea Party are the bad guys. Consider this from the high priest of the lefty media.
People covering and you know, is the message being delivered by the media? Is it being thwarted by the media? Do you have any perception of that?
You know, obviously I covered a lot of Tea Party events in the,
right.
in the early going, and it seems like every time there was a decent-sized event, there were always live trucks everywhere. And,
loud cough.
Exactly. And this one, there are a few reporters. There's a setup there for the media, but it's not anywhere near the numbers you saw on the other side.
We're not sure where Keith Olbermann gets his news, especially since Pravda isn't around anymore. But we've seen coverage of these lunatics everywhere. If there is a double standard, it might just be because the press doesn't want to acknowledge how stark the contrast is between these two groups.
Well, right now it's kind of vague.
Anthony Bondi says Occupy Sacramento has what he calls a message team working on the answer to why they're here.
So as it stands right now, that message team will reveal that tomorrow morning.
They're trying to run our country, all 50 states, as one giant state.
There's an old quote, I think it's Thomas Jefferson, and he says, when the people fear the government, there's tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there's liberty.
Earlier in the day, more than 80 people were arrested when the group marched from Zuccotti Park to Union Square.
So you see, Mr. Olbermann, there are some pretty good reasons your folks don't play quite as well on camera as ours. Your side doesn't know why it's protesting. Your side can't seem to get together without provoking the cops. That's this week's Freedom Minute.